Mantrapat. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It's been a long break. Welcome everybody. After the first lesson, I got distracted with so many other things, day job and other commitments. So hopefully this momentum will keep going and we'll make some good progress in the coming months. So I gave a brief overview. I learned many things. I have to speak clearly and sit a little bit closer to the mic. And hopefully this lesson will be much better than the first one. And today in this lesson we will cover only two topics. One is Maheshwara Sutram and what it is used for, and the first sutra, it's not considered as sutra by many, but it is written by Panini, Atha Shabdanushasana. That will cover a lot of ground. It appears like two simple things, but we'll talk about it. Okay, before we get, I just want to do an overview. Ashtadhyayi is written by Maharishi Panini, who condensed the grammar of Sanskrit language into 4,000 simple sutras. And if you consider 4,000, I think I previously talked about it. If you take Anushtup as a meter, it is considered as 1,000 shlokas. So basically, we can conclude Ashtadhyayi has about 32,000 letters. Okay. Yeah. So these 1,000 sutras, at some point, I don't know, it could have been in a shloka format, but there is no proof. So people consider these each individual sutras, and they're about 4,000, right around 3,900, some odd number. So what is Ashtadhyayi? If you consider, there are two schools of thoughts. One is the Kaumudi way of doing it, and the other one is the traditional way Maharshi Panini taught, and that tradition is still alive. Very few people follow, but that is still alive, and that is the method. In Ashtadhyayi method, the first emphasis is given to memorize two very important texts. Ashtadhyayi Sutra Patha, literally everybody says it has to be by heart. Basically, you should know all the 4,000 sutras at tip of your tongue and about 2,000 dhatus. Yeah, I mean, traditionally people who went to Gurukulam and learned that way, it's much easier for them. But everybody should make an effort. Just to throw an example, either you can learn the Kaumudi way and by heart the anuvrittis and vrittis and everything, or just by heart the original text and the importance that makes many places in the Ashtadhyayi. It's very relevant. Like if you see what Maharishi Panini did is, yeah, every all the set of sutras that belong to a certain action or certain group, he put it all in one place for the convenience, and of course to save the words. That's how he could condense it. One example is if you can say Raja Purusha. So it is an example. So if you want to do a samasa of Raja and Purusha, it becomes Raja Purusha. We'll go in the samasa prakriya more detailed way. This is just an overview. So what guides that Raja should become first? It could be Purusha Raja. There is no way. When you are putting two words together, there has to be a rule saying, what guides what comes first. So in that case, uh, like Dasharathasya Patyam, Dasharathi. So Dasharath, the son of Dasharatha is Dasharathi. So you can say Putram Apatyasya. So uh, you can put Putra in front of Dasharatha. Then would it still give Dasharathi, or would it change into a different form? So if you know Ashtadhyayi, the sutra immediately comes to your mind, Prathama Nirdishtam Samasa Upasarjanam, and you know, okay, whatever, in the sutra, whatever is Prathama Nirdishta is whatever it is denoting it to, that comes first. This is it becomes very clear. Similarly, there are other examples, like if you go through the Prakarana in the third pada of first Adhyayi, uh, you will see certain sutras, they all define et, and there are about 7 of them. And then by the time you wonder, like, what is this it and what is the purpose of it, the very next sutra that comes is called Tasya Lopaha. Like, okay, in this entire text, wherever we define the word it gets Lopa. Okay, Lopa means what? Then the next question comes is, what is Lopa? Then if you memorize the Ashtadhyayi, then the very sutra comes to your mind without having any other anuvrittis or anything. It's saying Adarshanam Lopaha. So disappearance of a letter is called Adarshanam. The one that was there and it's not there later, that process is called Adarshanam. And Tasya Lopaha. So Adarshanam Lopaha. So that's how it all interweaves. So that's why the traditional teachers, they emphasize a lot on memorizing Ashtadhyayi. I learned partly from traditional gurus. I'm still learning. Like I mentioned in my first video, this is a way to sort of enhance my knowledge by parting it and by giving it and see where my knowledge gaps are. Okay. So first thing people should do is memorize Ashtadhyayi. Yes, if age is a limit and you think you can do it, but still I would recommend keep trying. I have seen other people do it and it's well worth it, and it's a challenge. I mean, in the traditional Gurukulam, kids memorize 13-14-year-old, they memorize entire Ashtadhyayi and Dhatu Patha within 6 months. But if you have other commitments, I understand. So take a year, 2 year, but definitely make a point to memorize Ashtadhyayi. Okay, when a sutra comes, let's say the very first sutra we call it is Vriddhiradaic, but let's consider this uh, this Atha Shabdanushashanam. Let's consider this as a sutra, and when you do that, what is the first thing we have to do is first we have to do these 8 things are called these 8 things are the first things we have to understand, and this is what learning Ashtadhyayi is. You have to go through all 4,000 sutras and understand Padacheda Vibhakti. If there is a samasa, if there is any anuvritti is needed, anuvritti is a process where basically if Panini has to say the same word in every sutra, then he wouldn't do it. He just puts it on the top, and it is understood through the tradition and through the teaching between a teacher and a student that this word has to follow in the next sutras. The very prominent example, if you take Ashtadhyayi book with you, open third adhyaya and the first sutra and look at the first 2-3 sutras, Pratyaha, Parascha, and they go all the way till the end of 5th chapter, the last sutra. I think it's Nishpravanischa or something like that. So Pani didn't want to say Pratyaha Parascha all the time. So what he did is he put them and he defined as Adhikara Sutras. So Adhikara and Anuvritti. So when the word travels, one word goes to the next sutra, it's Anuvritti. But if it goes through chapters, then it is adhikara. So there are many adhikaras in Ashtadhyayi, which we will review in further classes. Uh, Pratyaha Parasya is a very big adhikara. Then Angasya is a big adhikara, Padasya is a big adhikara, Samhitayam is a big adhikara. These are all the terms. Don't get overwhelmed with all these uh, new new words. As time progresses and as the repetition occurs in the lessons, then these will become very familiar. And don't be deterred by memorization. It happens as well. It's just have to have the persistence and the patience to just follow it through. Okay, so we talked about Padacheda, Vibhakti. Uh, Pada is a loosely in English we can say word, but word does not have um, that um, that that meaning that Panini wants to convey. Padacheda means you are breaking into pada. Pada, then it's a Ashtadhyayi in terms of grammar. Uh, we'll go through this process multiple times where we have to find everything has to be conveyed in a sutra because he wrote a book. He cannot simply use the word pada and not give a definition to it. So there is a sutra called Suptingamtam Padam. So when there is a, then it opens up a chain of thoughts. So yeah, what is Padam? Suptingamtam Padam. Okay, sup and thing. What are sup and thing? These are pratyaya. Then what is pratyaya? So pratyaya comes, and then you say, okay, then can pratyaya make a pada? No, it can't because it has to be associated with something. So what is it? It gets associated with? Then it gets associated with a dhatu or a pratipadikam. Those are the two things. When pratyaya comes, then basically padas are formed. So when sup and thing pratyaya comes uh, next to a pratipadikam, then it gets the name pada. So breaking into those padas in simple English translation, we can say word, but I encourage you to use the word pada. So Ashtadhyayi is a pada. Padacheda is a pada. Vibhakti is a pada. Samasa is a pada. Like that. So we talked about Anuvritti. And then Vakya Yojana, this is not initially uh, in the Panini system, but what they do is when you take these sutras and you break into words, they want you to arrange them in such a way that it becomes a sentence and it conveys some meaning. So we'll go through that process. And once the meaning comes, then we will understand the artha, which is the next one. And then comes udaharana. Udaharana means example. And then example, where is this? Oh, this. Okay. And then the last one is siddhi. Siddhi means you take certain examples and you derive it. And just so that to refresh some memory from the last lesson, all these words were there to begin with. Panini did not create these words. We have to understand this concept, misconception that when you apply certain sutra to a dhatu, a word is formed. That's a wrong way of looking at things. Words already existed in Vedas, which I talked about. The firm belief of the traditional scholars is it was when the entire universe was created. How to use the universe, uh, God, the supreme power, created Vedas. And so these words existed before Panini's time. What Panini cleverly did is he understood all the words and he assumed this part is a pratyaya. So he basically reverse engineered. He took the words and he went back and created a dhatu. And he found literally all words and recognized the pattern, saying, okay, if you go back in this way, then they all comes down to one root, which is very, I mean, it's mind-boggling to think that millions of words, he could literally find a pattern. They all lead to, certain dhatus and pratyas. So that's what it is. So, but now we don't have that luxury of, how he did it. So what we do is we learn the forward way. Basically, we take dhatu and pratyaya and we apply all the sutras that Panini created, and we say, okay, when you apply these sutras, then basically this word is formed. But the thing is, if something is formed, then it'll get destroyed as well. Like, if the words coming out of my mouth, these are forming as we go, but they're immediately getting destroyed as well. Otherwise, the room will be resonating with the words. So something that is formed will be destroyed. So, but in Vedas, nobody knows how it is formed, and they're not destroyed. So the belief is, okay, these are the words, they already existed in sutra, shlokas, many places. And then Panini just basically assumed, okay, this is a dhatu and this is a pratyaya, and he literally reverse engineered to get to the roots of all dhatus from the words. So that's the examples we'll go, and then Siddhi. And Siddhi I already talked about, the process of going from a dhatu pratyaya to a word. So let's get the first sutra or first part, Atha Shabdanushasana. This Atha has multiple meanings. It is it has mainly three meaning. We can use in Mangala Charana when we want to say a Mangala, a prayer. Then Atha is used in many places. Atha also denotes its beginning of something, and Atha also denotes its coming. I mean, it's the second beginning, or basically it's something after something. Let me put it that way. So, Mang- so Vyakarna means people who learn Vyakarna. They look at this Atha in multiple ways, saying, okay, Panini, every good work has to be started with a prayer. So Panini just wanted to wish that all all the students of Panini who learn this Shastra, uh, he wants to wish well. So he's starting with a prayer, Atha. Or we can say Panini already taught Panini Siksha, which is the pronunciation sort of treatise, which dictates where the letters are originated and how the how each letter is pronounced and what is the place in the mouth, like ka, kha, ga, gha, nga is originated from kantha, and like that. So he already taught that. It is called Siksha. And now he's starting the main treatise, this Ashtadhyayi. So he used Atha. Or, since it's a beginning of a new Shastra, then, or big Shasana means what you call um, Shasana, how would I say that in English? Let me think. So, English, it's sort of, it's getting difficult. Maybe governance, I should say. Or you can say the rules he created. So, uh, Shasana means the rules in the traditional sense, only God can create it. And that's what their belief is. And then, so that's why Panini cannot create Shasana. Shasana was created by God by giving Vedas. So Panini found the additional rules that were in line with it. So that's why he did it after the initial Shasana was done by the Almighty. then so that's why they came after the initial rules. So there is a anu basically upasarga to it, so it becomes anushasana. That means anu means paschat, means which is done afterward. So the Almighty gave the Vedas, he did the shasana, and then looking at and learning the Vedas, Panini found this treasure. So that's why it's called Anu. Anu means paschat. He did it later, after the Almighty's creation. So that's why they are called Anushasana. So Atha Anushasana. Uh, what kind of Anushasana? So it is a Shabda Anushasana. It's a Anushasana. It means it's a rules for words. So it's a Shabda Anushasana. Okay. So we'll go through the same process. So what are the words? So Atha, it's a Avyaya Pada. Avyaya means Na Vyaya Avyaya, means the one that does not change form. It stays in three lingas and three vachanas. So Pullinga, Strilinga and Napunsaklinga. Ekavachana, Dvivachana, Bahuvachana. So Pullinga means masculine, feminine, neuter, and Ekavachana means singular, dual. Dual is a speciality of Sanskritam. You won't find it anywhere else. And then Bahuvachana. So one is singular, two is dual, and three is plural. When we say eyes, is it 2 eyes, 3 eyes, 5 eyes? How knows? So Sanskrit didn't leave anything to chance. It's like, okay, 2 eyes is okay. You have to have some word to represent only 2 eyes. Who knows? Maybe there are multiple eyes or something. So they didn't want to leave anything to the chance. So everything is encompassed and encapsulated in this one. Okay, so Shabdanam. What kind of Shabdanam? That's the next question comes. It's Kechana Shabdanam. So it's a Laukika Nam, Vaidika Nam. So in the ancient India, the language of communication was Sanskritam. Now it has multiple languages evolved from the same mother language, Sanskritam. So Laukika means when in a conversational Sanskritam, there are people speak Sanskritam, and there is a Vedic Sanskritam, which is all the Vedas and its shlokas are written. So, but he wanted to create one single grammar treatise that encapsulated both of them. So, Kechana Shabdanam, so Laukikanam, Vedikanam cha. So he wanted to encapsulate all of that. And then, is there a samasa in it? Yes. So, Anushishyate, Jnayate yena iti Anushasanam. I already said, because it is sort of Anu means, Paschat. So he did that. So rules after. So it is called Pradi Tatpurusha Samasa in that. And then Shabdanam Anushasanam iti Shabdanushasanam. Shashti Tatpurusha Samasa. So Samasa we did. So for now, like I said, many of the words can be overwhelming, but for now, just bear with me and stay tuned, because these names, these type of doing samasas and everything, they'll become more easier and clearer as we go forward. So okay, we did, and meaning is we already said. Panini wanted to do a prayer and wanted to say what this book is about. It's he can't just simply say the prayer Atha and leave it. He wanted to put some thought into saying, okay, this book is about words, and that's what he meant to say. So he said that with that. So that's all I wanted to say about this one. Let's go back to our okay. In this there are no examples and there is no siddhi. So at least we learned one sutra without any siddhi, which is good. Okay, Maheshwara Sutram. I think I briefly mentioned in the previous video. but I'll go over it one more time. There are two schools of thoughts. The traditional people think Maheshwara was an acharya because grammar was written by many people before that. There is a saying that Panini's uncle, like her mother's brother, he wrote sutras, basically grammar sutras, 100,000 sutras. He wrote it uh, to encapsulate Sanskrit grammar. And then Panini came and he condensed it to 4,000 sutras, or maybe sorry, I take that back. 400,000 sutras his uncle wrote, and he condensed it to basically 4,000, so about a 99% compression. So we know that Panini wasn't the first acharya who did these sutras, because Panini references Shakatayana, Shakalyasya, and there are many other acharyas he mentions in his 4,000 sutras out of respect, because he is taking some of the thought of previous teachers, so he want to give his respect and acknowledge that he borrowed that from him, or he acknowledged that that was the thought process of his previous acharyas. So which tells us that it was an active process that was, many acharyas were involved, and eventually Panini nailed it. Basically, he found the easiest and perfect pattern to derive all the words. That's one school of thought. And what happened is, in that school of thought, what they believe is, when Panini came up with this Pratyahara scheme, and which will go in this lesson in more detail, when Pratyahara scheme he gave, then he discussed with an acharya named Maheshwara. But since he took his input, even though it was probably his idea, uh, but he discussed it, so he wanted to acknowledge and give respect. And he called it as Maheshwara Tagatani. So it said, instead of saying I discussed with Maheshwara, he just simply said these sutras came from Acharya named Maheshwara. And so that's how the traditional people believe. The Kaumudi school of thought is that at the end of this universe, when Shiva basically, at the end of his cosmic dance, he basically took the Damaru, and he made 14 times, he made sound, and that sound basically sounded like Ayun, Rilruk, Aong, Ayouch, and Panini just listened to that sound, and everything just basically like a light went open, basically turned on inside his head, and he created the entire Shastra. And to support that, they give us shloka, which is in a very rare non-authentic book. Uh, it's called Nandikeshwara Kashika. It's a very small book. That is the only book that has a reference saying Vrittavasane Nataraja Rajaha Nanada Dhakkam Navapanchavaram Uddhattu Kamat Sanakadi Siddhan Etat Vimarshe Sivasutra Jalam. But it sort of fancies it, it glorifies it in a much more way, but it takes the essential uh, spirit of that. It is creation of a human mind. It takes that aspect out and attributes everything to Almighty. uh, so it brings that divine element. I mean, if you look at the Damaru, I have listened to this Damaru sound. None of those Damaru sounds ever sounded to me like Ayun and Rilruk, unless I don't have the trained ear like Panini did. And there is another, once this divinity aspect comes in, there are many other things that creep in as well. And there is a telltale story is, Panini wasn't a bright student, and so basically he was the dimwit in his the class, and some of his teacher basically make fun of him or something. So he got tired, and he decided to go and do meditation for a long time, and then this whole uh, Damaru sound he listened, and basically he created the entire Maheshwara. So once we take the human aspect out of it, then once uh, divine aspects are introduced, then poetic liberty just completely ruins this concept that somebody who literally walked out this earth had a beautiful mind like this to present this entire and Sanskrit grammar in the form of such a compressed treatise that you don't need any other book to understand the Sanskrit grammar. This 4,000 sutras, if you learn and you follow the rules given by the acharyas, you don't need to memorize any other thing. That is mind boggling, and that aspect gets stripped off once we start giving that, okay, he went into a cave and basically some divinity appeared and gave him. So that strips away the ability of the human mind. That's how the traditional people think. And so I just wanted to present both cases to you. I'll leave the choice up to you, whichever one you want to follow. Okay, Maheshwarat Agatani. So I'm fine with calling it came from Shiva, or it came from Maheshwara, or it came from an Acharya who was, at the contemporary of Maharshi Panini. They both discussed and came up with this wonderful scheme of putting the words putting the letters in a certain order that is not totally random. I mean, if you I talked in the previous video as well. If you start in English, A, B, okay, alpha, gamma, beta, and then everything goes downhill. I mean, gamma is, so it should be A, B, G. So that didn't work out very well. And I said before, purposefully they scattered all the vowels, across the 26 letters to confuse the heck out of the students, because if you put A, E, I, O, U and then you put all your consonants, English would have been just fine. It is the exact same thing. So there is no special purpose of putting the vowels, scattering them all. It's not like an Easter egg hunt to find, where are the vowels. But this one is more structured. So what Panini Maharshi did is he put all the mouse doesn't work on full screen, sorry. What he did is he put all the vowels in the, let's see if I can write on something. Yeah, he put all the vowels in one place, and this is what we learn. This is called pratyahara. So I'll define what pratyahara is in a minute, but let's say the sutra ones. Because this is the building block of entire Ashtadhyayi. I mean, other than memorizing Ashtadhyayi, of course, you should start memorizing this one. This is absolutely necessary, because you will pretty quickly, in the almost like the end of first siddhi or something, you will use this multiple times, and if you don't know, then you have to keep referring, and it's not very fun to learn that way. Okay, let's say it. A, I, Un, Ril, Rik, A, Om, I, Ouch, Haya, Varat, Lan, Nyamanganam, Jhabhai, Ghadadhash, Jabagadash, Kha, Pha, Cha, Tha, Ta, Chatatav, Kapai, Shashasar, Hal. Iti Maheshwarani Sutra. So this is Maheshwara Sutra. Okay. What is the purpose of this sutra? So let's look at this way. I think I briefly touched upon it in the previous talk, but I'll go over it one more time, because this is officially, we are covering the sutra. So Panini wanted to create some pratyaharas. Pratyaharas means he wanted to group in a certain way. All the letters, he wanted to group it in a certain way. If you have, let's say, 100 apples or 100 flowers, you can plant flower seeds, or so you can arrange them any way you want it. You can make a batch of 50-50, or you can make a batch of 10-90, or you have the whole liberty to create any combination you want that serves your purpose. And if you have a purpose behind it, it's not a total random stacking. So the purpose here he wanted to use is whenever he wants to say all vowels, he's not going to say I, un, ril, rik, e, ong, I, ouch, or he's not going to say I, u, ril, ri, e, o, I, ouch, I, ow. So what Panini would simply call it, he would say ach. Oh, he would simply say ach. So what he does is he takes the first varna, and the last one, and everything in between is taken with these two, combination of these two. So that's why I highlighted the blue one. So to give you some idea, so a, I, un. So if you want to take a, I, u, he will simply call it an. If you want to say a, I, u, ril, ri, he will say ak, pratyahar. Or similarly, if you want to say from a to o, he would say ang. Or if you want to say all the achas, he will say ach. Same way it goes from ha to la, hal. And same way he can keep saying, you can make many pratyaharas along with it. So there are 44 of them, and I'll show it to you what they are, because oops, how do I get back? Let me pause this. Okay, so Pratyahara Sutras, that's what we were looking at. So I already mentioned this. So the people have created many shloka formats for easy to remember easily, saying ekam trini trini punaschaikam. So ekam means one, trini trini. So with na you make one pratyahara, you make three pratyaharas with ka as in the end, so ka in the end. So you make three pratyaharas saying ak, ik, uk. So there is another. So this is one I wanted to show you. This is the same way another sutra. Ekasmanyamota dvyabham shastribhya eva kananasuhu kanamasyuhu. So what he wanted to show you is when Panini he created, there are about 44 pratyaharas, and 41 comes from this, and the remaining I think comes from somewhere else, like Vartikas or Vartikas created by Katyayana. He considered 3 more pratyaharas. So they are all listed here. So when you say ing, so this is the sutra. It's a good table to memorize. It's going to be very handy for you to understand, and basically it will help you clearly see where they are used. And for your convenience, I put all these sutras in one place, and so anytime you want to come reference, at least as a good starting point, where each pratyahara is used, at least those sutras you should just by heart it. And and if you already by hearted Ashtadhyayi, great, then you know where each sutras fall. So how is pratyahara formed? We cannot simply say that it was formed just by the first and last letter. We have to give sutras. Panini in his textbook, he has to define where they are. So the first comes is Adirantyena Saheta. So, which is Tadantasya Adirantyena Saheta. Adirantyena Saheta. Okay. So let's go through step by step. And first is, how do we say the sutras? So Adir Antyena Saheta. But you should say in a flow, saying Adir Antyena Saheta. So that is the sutra. When you do the Padacheda, what are the padas? Adihi, Antyena, Saha, Ita. So if you rearrange this, you can say Antyena Saha, Ita, Adihi. That's all you can say. But if you look couple of sutras above, let me show you the book. So original book is a much better way to learn. So we are learning this sutra, Adirantyena Saheta, right? So we did the Padacheda, Adihi, Antyena, Ita, Saha. So Adihi is a, we should know Vachana Vibhakti as well, Ekaranta Pullinga, Prathama Ekavachana. And why these Vachanas are important, they'll come more clear as we go in further sutras. So Saha is Avyapadam, Ita is Takaranta Pullinga, Tritiya Ekavachana. So Sahayukte Tritiya. See, so there is a sutra. So Saha in Tritiya, you can add Saha as well. So Adirantyena Saheta. Now there is a saying, when you know the words of a sentence, you understand the meaning. If you don't know a word, let's say for people who don't speak, English, if you say "मैं खाना खाता हूँ," so you didn't understand a single word of it. So you will not get a meaning of this. You cannot randomly, something will not go in your head and say, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I can understand what he's saying." You can't simply say it. So you cannot comprehend the meaning until you know the word and its meaning first. So let's go by the single word. Adihi, everybody knows, okay, that is in the front or in the beginning or something. Antyena, okay, one that is in the last. Saha means, okay, together. Ita, what is Ita? This Ita. So if you say it's a Takaranta Pullinga, so the root word must be it. So what is this it? So this sutra cannot tell you it. So if you ask like, what is it? You say, oh, I don't know. Go ask somebody else. So you will go to sutra that defines what is it. It says hal antyam, upadeshe janunasika it, right? And this word sentence has it. So what is it saying is Upadesha. Upadesha means Hadyacharanam. Whatever Panini Maharshi said the very first time is considered as Upadesha. Anunasika Ach. Anunasika. So Anunasika means the one that you use part mouth, part nose to say it. And we'll get into that detail, but I don't want that sutram. I wanted the next one. So Anunasika means, let's say ah. So you don't see any nasal sound in when you say ah, but when you say ah, so you are using half mouth, half nasal. You can try it. Everybody can try it. So with this, Panini, wherever he used, these nasalized vowel sounds, they are it, and this it goes into as an anuvritti into halantyam. So antyam hal. So if you do the padacheda for halantyam, hal antyam. Okay, last hal. Then what? So last hal is it. Okay. Now, what is this hal? So, hal, if you ask this sutra, hey, what is this hal? He'll say, I don't know. Go to Adirantyana Sahita and ask what is, because he's the one talks about the beginning and the last one. So, so you see the circular reference. And even like in a programming, it's like an infinite loop. You can keep going between Adirantyana Sahita, it will say it, and it will send you to Halantyam, and Halantyam will send you back to Adirantyana Sahita, saying, you defined what is Adi and Anta there, and come back, and then I'll tell you what is how. What is it? So this is called a circular dependence. Even most of the in today's language, people will understand circular dependence is not good. Even in Excel or any programming, you don't want to run the infinite loop. So there has to be a way out to get out of this one. So what people have done is, they did a different. They have to understand the uh, samasa in halantyam. Hal is lakaranta pullinga prathama ekavachana. Antyam is akaranta pullinga prathama ekavachana. So samasa they did is halah antyam halantyam. So and then hali antyam halantyam. So they did it in a sashti tatpura samasa, and they also did a saptami tatpura samasa. So when you do uh, sashti, so hold on. Okay, so the two way you can see is the shashti. Whenever we say, if you put hasya la, so the la that is with ha is it, but that doesn't sound very good. But if you say hali in saptami, there are saptami has a meaning said. If Panini uses saptami anywhere, then it means pare rehte in Hindi. When you say in English, you will say, so pare rehte means one that is after ha. So what he's saying is uh, the lakara that is after ha is it. This will be much easier for me to say that in Hindi or in my mother tongue, but I'm sort of struggling to explain this in English. So so you can say when you're looking at Pratyahara Sutram is when you say this ha se pare, so the something that is after ha is called it, if you understand it that way. So what this defines now as hal. Okay, so this is the it. So lakara is the it, and then from this ha to the lakara it becomes hal. We have to understand one thing. If Panini has to use only one letter, he'll never use pratyahara. So then this hal from here to here, this la is the one that defines it. And then now you go back to Adirantyana Saheta. So Adi is ha, Antya is la. So hal becomes a pratyahara encapsulating um, every single vowel in the language. So that's how this circular dependency is avoided. Samasa plays a clear role in it. If you do hasyala, so you can say the ha, the lakara that is next to the ha is its sangya, is it. Halantyam is that hal. Basically, you can say the hasyala when you do the samasa is like the the has la basically means whatever la is next to the ha is the one is becomes it. So what is the benefit of doing it? Then why did Panini use only consonants to define its? So that Halantyam Sutram clarifies that, because if he used ach, which is in the previous sutra, he has some other places he used it. He didn't want to use to make the pratyahara. So since la, so every word that comes between ha and la, uh, they they can be used as pratyahara. So look here, anything that's coming, see, na is coming right there. He used the ka as there, nga there, cha 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 there, and so he used all the consonants to define the pratyaharas. So what is pratyahara? So there is a definition for that, is pratyahriyante rashi kriyante iti pratyahara. So what he is doing is he is making these groups, these various groups of letters, and I explained it to you before. Like if you want to say, if Panini wanted to say a e u, he would never say a e u. He'll simply say an, and that's what uh, this table tells. And I think at one point I did something else as well. Oh, right there. See, an means if Panini has to say a e u, he'll say an. Same thing with ak, ik, ok. So go through this table, and I'll paste this link. You might have to reorganize it by doing a little. Let me show that as well. This notebook sometimes. Where is the notebook? I think somebody asked for a link for this notebook. So I don't want that. So here is the link. If you open the notebook, it'll ask you to join. You can join the notebook. It's a read-only access. You won't break anything. So feel free to explore this. And when you have this, it gives you an option right here. So title ascending, that's what you should do. And when you do that, you will get somewhere 00 pratyahara. The interface works much better if you download the Evernote app and download this entire book offline for offline use. So see, otherwise all the dhatu and everything is coming together. Or you can search Devanagari pratyahara right there, and so Alantyam. Okay, yeah, because I didn't. So if you download the book, maybe it will work. But for me, I have the source application, so I can show you here. So that's why I highlighted them in such a way that you will understand. Look through this table. He never says a Pratyahara Sutra to define only one letter. He always uses a group of them. So if you look at this, if he wants to say all the alphabets, he would simply say al. Look at the compression. I mean, all the alphabet. It's almost saying if he wants to use all the alphabets in English, he would simply say A, C, and that will encapsulate everything. So if you say A, D, that means A, B, C, and D is the it sangya. So if you say A, M, so you keep typing A, B, C, D, F, G, L, M, and will go away. So like that. I hope this Pratyahara concept is clear to you. Dwell on it a little bit, spend some time, and then we'll talk more about how he uses them and everything in the next class. Okay, Maheshwara Sutram. I think I already talked about that one. So these are the two slokas defined, and I gave that in the Evernote as well. People, you can memorize it like ekam trini punaschaitam, चत्वार एकं त्रयं त्रयम् एकं द्वे षट् तथैव एकं चतुः पञ्च षडेव च. You can memorize this way, or there is another way to memorize is this one. एकस्मान्न्यायावताद्वाभ्यां शस्त्रिभ्य एव कणमाः स्युः ज्ञेयौ च यौ चतुर्भ्योरः पञ्चभ्यः शलौ शक्यः. So go through this pratyahara, and then um, we will talk about first sutra and beyond from our next class. And the pattern will be same. Remember, we will always do first padacheda, then vibhakti, and then samasa. If there is an anuvritti, we'll do that, and then we will try to get the meaning. And if there is actually, I should put the meaning up, because some of the sutras they don't need any anuvrittis, and if the meaning is not clear, then you bring the other words from the top, and then we define the meaning in a simple layman terms, and then we'll give an example and give a siddhi, just to give you a flavor of what it is coming. Like our first sutra is Vriddhiradai. Okay, so first is Vriddhihi Adaij, or some people these are considered as two words, and some people consider break it a little bit more, and they call it Vriddhi At Aich. So, but either way, it's fine. You can either split into words, or you can say Adaich, but Adaich as a samasa. So, what is the samasa? So, it's Acha, Aicha, iti, Adaich. It's a samahara dvandva samasa. And I'll give you brief overview in the next talk about samasa as well. Um, in Sanskrita, you can make as big of a compounded word as you want, but you always do in batches of two. So it's for the standard example is you can do Ramascha Lakshmanascha Rama Lakshmana, and then you can say Ramascha Lakshmanascha Bharatascha Rama Lakshmana Bharataha. So you took you. It sounds like you're taking one word at a time, but essentially you break into two, combine them, you add another one, combine them, and the process goes on. Initially, when you are doing it, but once you understood how the process works, you simply say Ramascha Lakshmanascha Bharatascha Shatrughna iti Rama Lakshmana Bharata Shatrughna, and then you just say it's a itar yoga dvanda samasa, because you can individually make out the component of Rama, Lakshmana, um, Bharata, and Shatrughna in that compound. So that's why it's called itara itara. So you can find each one individual components in it. Uh, so we'll talk. I'll briefly give a simple overview of samasa in the next talk before we get into this Vriddhiradaj. And then as things come along, I'll try to clarify as much as I can. Okay, that's all for now. Leave me comments, or send your feedback to my email address. Thank you. We end the lesson with either with a prayer. We can do a Shanti mantra, or we can do just simply say, "Oh."